So I did a video on this when it first popped out in LightBurn Release Candidate 2.1. But now they've got Release Candidate 2.1.06 out, and they've made some revisions, and this is working for me like it should and as expected. So they've already made some address some issues. Thank you, LightBurn, for working as hard as you do to make LightBurn as great as it is. So stay tuned for the new improvements to Quick Nest. So I talked about this briefly before, but it wasn't working 100% for me, and for some of the others, even with the MacBook Pros, they were expressing some limited success. But let's look at this now, and I've discovered ways that this can be used for other than nesting. So, and I want to show you some roadblocks about what can happen and how to avoid it when you do nest. So let's jump over to LightBurn. Now this is LightBurn 2.1.06 release candidate. So it's not out yet, but you can go and download it if you want to play with these new features. So nesting. Nesting is when you have lots and lots of product or designs or pieces, and they might even be various shapes and sizes, but you want to try and get them nested or placed on a particular piece of workpiece as tightly and as close together as possible to maximize your product as much as you can, to have as little amount of waste as you possibly can have. So I'm going to create an array here, and I'm intentionally overlapping these so that you can see the nesting has the ability to straighten out a lot of this. Obviously, this wouldn't be something that you would do intentionally. I just want to show you the abilities of this nesting tool. So I've got these created here. They're not grouped. They are in a random orientation. They're all turned in a whole bunch of different directions. But let's say and there, of course, if you were going to do squares, you wouldn't do them in random orientation. If you wanted to have them nicely, neatly oriented so you could cut them out the most efficient way. I'm just showing you the abilities of the tool. So yes, I know that you wouldn't do this. I'm showing you what the tool can do. So for those who like to make snide remarks, get over yourself. So if I want to make sure that all of these pieces are going to fit onto a piece of work, a piece of material, I've got those grouped up right there. I can just grab my rectangle, grab a toolpath. Oh, I didn't want to change those. Put those back. I need to deselect those. Grab a rectangle, grab the toolpath, and draw a rectangle around them. So if it fits around those, once they're organized, they should still fit, even though they're overlapping in a few places. So right now I have a lot of my menu turned off. I have the text feature turned off, which is right where text options, right there. With the text options turned on, with my resolution screen, you can't see all of the docking tools. You have to use this drop down. So in order to show you better, I'm turning off my text options so you can see all of the docking features right here. Because the Quick Nest is located here in the docking features. The docking tools, the last one here is Nest the Objects in a Target Rectangle. It's also in the Arrange tool under Nest, not Nest Selected. Nest Selected is the old nesting tool, which I'm hoping they're going to just, well, they may keep it because a lot of old timers might really like that and want to keep it. I don't know. But in the docking tools is where you find Quick Nest right here. Now it's grayed out because we don't have any of the options available. And I'm curious. I don't think you can select the entire thing and hit Nest. Well, it does It does look like you can. I was thinking you had to select the objects first and then hold shift and then select that like you do for your Boolean tools or anything else. But just selecting that entire thing made that an option. Let's try it like that. So I've got everything selected, and now I want to change my padding up here. First, let's make the padding 5 millimeters. And the padding is the distance between each of those squares once they're put in place with each other. I am not moving them as a group. The lock inner shapes is turned on, which is irrelevant because there are no inner shapes. But lock objects for rotation is turned off, and that is crucial. That has to be turned off because we want it to be able to rotate these around and orient them in a way to make them as organized as possible. And if you had some random shapes in here, a bunch of different dinosaur feet that had all kinds of different, a long skinny side and then 3 toes coming off of it, you'd want to be able to rotate all those around so that they could nest within each other as efficiently as possible. So you want lock objects for rotation turned off. But now, I've not done it this way before, so this is going to be a first time to try this. So right now you can't adjust anything up there. It has to have it selected. And I'm selecting everything, including the toolpath, setting my padding, and then I'm going to click right here on Nest Objects and Target Rectangle. And it worked. Oh, wait a minute. It created another one down here. Oh, wow. Now that is... I like that. That is cool. That was really neat. It recognized it did not fit within that first target, so it created another rectangle and put them down there. I like that. I don't need to do that because I can change my padding, but that's pretty cool. So let's go back here, and I'm going to undo it and change the padding and do it again. So undo. I'm going to change my padding to 3 millimeters and dock. And there you go. It's all docked in there. Done. Now, let's say, okay, well, you can make it even tighter. Take that to 1 millimeter and dock. And it makes it like that. And it all fits in there. And you've got a nice, neat remnant here that could be used for, something. So that's the reason for nesting, is to get the most out of your material. Now, something that I noticed about docking. If you're not using the nesting tool, if you're just using your docking features, if like right now I've got these set at a 1 millimeter padding around it, and I say, okay, I want to give it a little bit more docking, or a little bit more padding. I want to increase the padding around it. So I'm going to go from 1 to 3. Well, I can select all of these and just move them over here out the way using my arrow key, increase my padding to 3 millimeters, and tell this now to dock to the left, so it docks up against these. So dock left. It increased the padding here 3 millimeters, but these did not move. And let's undo that and make it an even drastic so you can really see this. 5 and dock. See how that changed and these didn't? Well, whenever you're docking, if you're already closer than your desired padding, it will not back it off. And it would be good if docking would do that. And docking can do that. And how do I know docking can do that, but it's not? Because of this. Check this out. So let's go back to there. So I've got everything at a 1 millimeter padding. If I select all of this and just change my padding to 3 millimeters and hit the nesting tool again, it will move those out 3 millimeters. But let's do this. Let's go back and just change it to 2 millimeters and it should keep that same orientation. And nest, no, it didn't. That's okay. We'll keep that one. And there's 2. And if I select it all again and say, okay, I want it to go 3 and nest, it kept the orientation, but it moved all the padding out. So it would seem that it would be just I don't know, I say simple, but I tell you what, you start doing coding, there's nothing simple about the coding. One little change can have an adverse effect in 12 other areas. But if docking had the ability to recognize that it was already too close and then back it off to the desired docking, that would be really cool. But with this new nesting, Quick Nest, as long as you know how to use it, it will do that. So that's really, really cool. And I love the idea that when it recognized that it wouldn't all fit, it created a whole new toolpath and put the remainder down there. So there's how the padding works with Quick Nest, and how you can get your shapes into one piece of material. But now I want to talk about the other options that are in the docking menu that can be very important when it comes to nesting your pieces. Let's say we're going to delete this, and I'm going to put actually, you know what I won't even do, I'll come over here to my art library, and let's grab we'll grab a clock. There we go. And we're going to do just a blank face. Now this blank face is set up for variable text, but all that's irrelevant. I'm going to bring this down in size, and I'm going to bring it over here. And I've got now everything is ungrouped. I'm going to create an array of these. I'm going to turn off my random orientation so it just keeps everything upright and where it should be. I'll increase my distance here. Now, those will fit with the right spacing. So I'm going to say OK. And now I'm going to come up here to my docking menu. And this is where lock inner objects is crucial. Let's do this. Let's grab all of that, and we're going to tell it to have a padding of 2 millimeters and tell it to nest. All right, now it rotated some of the objects. I don't really know why it did that. It even inverted some of them. So let's go back, Control Z. Turn on lock inner objects for rotation. Lock inner objects, or lock objects for rotation, and lock inner objects. And now we've got it all selected, and nest it. And there, it kept everything in the right orientation. It's still the double D's, and everything's where it's supposed to be. Control Z, go back. And let's turn these off so you can see what happens when they're not. And I'm going to take and move these over here. And just for giggles, I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab this one and bring it way down here. And grab this one. Mind you, none of this is grouped right now. And bring that way up here. Now, I'm going to try and select it all as a whole like that. Yep, and then tell it to nest. See what happened? It took every one of the dots and dashes out of my clock faces and my numbers if I was using the variable text, because I did not have lock inner objects turned on. So Control Z, lock inner objects, and nest. That kept everything where it's supposed to. But I had these are supposed to be double D's, and it has been turned upside down and mirrored. because those are double P's instead of double D's. And if I just, I don't, yeah. So if I wanted it to be completely accurate, I'm just curious. Let me rotate that. Did it mirror it or just flip it, Bruce? No, it just turned it upside down. It didn't mirror it. So it would still be okay. It's just upside down on the face. And if you didn't want that confusion, then you want to lock objects for rotation in this instance, because they're all circles and it's not, they don't need to rotate. I don't even know why it's doing that. They don't need to. There you go. So there's when you want to turn on the inner objects, is when you've got inner objects on there. That's working like telling us to be grouped. If I went all the way back, let's see here, delete that, and we bring this back in. These are grouped right now, and I'm going to leave them grouped. And do a quick array. And tell those, and I'm going to turn these off this time. Lock inner objects is turned off because the clock was grouped. They should stay where they're at. And tell it to nest. Oh, there we go. It didn't have room on that because I made those bigger, but all of the clock face information stayed in the right place. It created that second new page and put them where they needed to be. Control Z. Undo that, tell it to go to 1 millimeter padding. Optimization yielded 0 bounding box. Oh, I didn't have the bounding box selected there. And nope. It must be, that's a new, I haven't seen that one, that warning. So let's do this. Let's increase the size of that bounding box. And nest. There you go. So before, in one of the previous versions of the release candidate, it would just nest them and tell you that it didn't fit within the box. You know, it would put them in place, but they would be beyond the outer perimeter of the box. So that's a new warning I hadn't seen before. It wasn't quite enough of a size variance to create the second needed piece. So that's okay. This is going to be a great tool. I'm happy to see they've already got the bugs worked out of it, and it's going to be a really great feature to have in LightBurn 2.1 when it finally hits the market. I'm Steve, Hubble with Wood. Thanks for watching.